What's going on, everybody? Josh Engleman for Awesemo.com, and I am back with my NBA DFS contenders on FanDuel for Tuesday, July 20th. Now be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. And then follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. It's the only place you're going to get updates to my sim results as we get closer to lock. And finally, let me know in the comments section who is your favorite and least favorite of my contenders for today's slate. This could be the last one. Rounding out the bottom of my top 10 with PJ Tucker, Jay Crowder, Pat Connaughton, Mikal Bridges, and DeAndre Ayton on the outside looking in. Who will be my favorites? My top 5 plays for today? It's time to find out. First up at number 5, we're going to 14K Khris Middleton. He's got a 10% chance of being the optimal MVP, 18% at star, 11% at pro, 40% overall. Makes it kind of tough to get there because you can put him in any one of the multiplier spots. I'm giving him 43 minutes. Wouldn't surprise me if it were 44 or 45, given that this is a potential closeout game. 43 fantasy points. He's right at a fantasy point per minute. 25 points, 6.5 boards, almost 6 assists, a steal and a half. It all looks really good. You know what you're getting out of Middleton at this point. I feel comfortable using him in any one of those multiplier spots, but at the same time, he's in the optimal lineup less frequently than a coin flip, which is kind of crazy. So it's not out of the realm of possibility to simply leave Khris Middleton out of the lineup. Star is the most likely scenario, but you can go either way. I just wouldn't put him in the utility at all. Not the best allocation of salary. Next up, we have Jrue Holiday, Middleton's teammate, number 4, 13,500. He's got a 7% chance of being the optimal MVP, 18% at star, 15% at pro, a 41% overall chance of being in the optimal. You probably need to pick one or the other for this spot. They've got a similar breakdown. Jrue a little bit less likely to be in the MVP, a little bit more likely to be in the pro, but nothing too crazy. They're basically the same projection. 42 minutes for Jrue Holiday, just shy of 41 fantasy points. He just gets there in a different way, a little bit less scoring. So 19 real points, 7.5 assists, almost 5 boards, 2.5 stocks. They're both going to end up in the same sort of spot from a fantasy point projection standpoint, but the scoring is different for Middleton. So I think Middleton's ultimate ceiling is higher. But if Jrue's going to play like he did in Game 5 and start knocking down those jumpers, it could be a very different day. Either way, whether it's Holiday or Middleton, you want to stick to the multiplier spots. There's not a lot of value in having either one of those guys in the utility. A mirror image of Jrue Holiday, number 3, Chris Paul, 13,500, 7% chance at MVP, 17% at star, 18% at pro. You're not putting him in at utility. 42% chance of being in the optimal. These 3 guys, and separating them from each other is basically impossible as far as I'm concerned. 38 minutes for Paul, but a better projection, honestly, 41.5 fantasy points. He's more like a 1.1 fantasy point per minute guy. 19 points, 9 assists, 4 boards, maybe 2 stocks. You're just worried about his health here. He looked a lot better coming down the stretch of Game 5, so I'm hoping that he's feeling a little bit better. I'm a little nervous about this spot for Chris Paul in this closeout game in Milwaukee, but at the same time, I can't ignore the projection and I can't ignore the price. And 13.5 is an excellent price for Paul. Again, you're focused on using the big 6 guys in the multiplier spots. I'm not putting Chris Paul or Holiday or Middleton in the utility at all. Next up, number 2, Devin Booker, just 12,500. He's got a 7% chance of being in there at the MVP spot, 19% at star, and this is the biggie, 31% at pro. You can see we have entered a different tier. Booker's price is way too low for his role in this series. A 59% chance that Devin Booker is just simply in the optimal lineup. Way ahead of the Chris Paul, Jrue Holiday, and Khris Middleton trio. It's not even close. And Ayton, I guess. I should include Ayton. He's only a percentage point behind Khris Middleton. 42 points for Booker, or 42 minutes rather for Booker, 42 fantasy points. He could play 44 or 46 as long as he stays out of foul trouble. They're going to need every bit of him. 28 real points, almost 5 assists, almost 5 boards, a little over 5 assists. Either way, 5 and 5, we'll call it. That's the easier average. It's basically the same. Plus, you get a steal. But really, we know what we're going for Booker. You need him to hang another 40-point game. That would be ideal. But the $12,500 price tag opens him up a little bit more. You don't need as much as you normally do because he's priced down so far, which doesn't really make sense coming out of game 4 and game 5. So don't overthink it. Play a lot of Devin Booker, but for right now, the primary spot that you should have Devin Booker is the pro spot. My guess is that he'll be a little bit over-owned at MVP. I would just sort of shore up my lineup by putting him in the pro spot even more. Now, before we get to Giannis Antetokounmpo, one last reminder to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Then, head on over to Twitter, follow me, at Josh Engleman. Only place to get the updates to my sim results as we get closer to lock. And finally, comment section. Favorite contender, least favorite contender, and the guy that you thought would be on this list that you did not see. Don't forget, I'm on Live Before Lock tonight with Lofty, plus we're doing Live After Lock, probably for the full game as long as it's close. So we're going to be going for a couple hours tonight. You don't want to miss it. Will this be the final time I'm recommending Giannis in the #1 spot on FanDuel? I hope so. Go Bucks. 81% likelihood of being in the optimal lineup. He's 16K, 67% chance of being the optimal MVP, 13% at star. You're not putting him at pro. You're not putting him at utility. I've got him projected for 62 fantasy points, basically right at 1.5 fantasy points per minute. 34.5 real points, 12 boards, 6 assists, and 2.5 stocks. I think our future finals MVP closes them out here with a big one. I'm not going to get too cute. You guys know the deal at this point. Giannis Antetokounmpo is the unquestioned #1 contender for today's slate. Alrighty, folks, that will do it. Those are my NBA DFS contenders on FanDuel for Tuesday, July 20th. DraftKings version of this video is around here somewhere. Strategy show 10 a.m. with Lofty. You don't want to miss it. And as I mentioned before, live before lock from 8 to 9, live after lock from 9 until probably the end of this game. This could be the final one. If not, check me out on Thursday for the final NBA contenders of the regular season. And by the regular season, I mean the postseason. That would be game 7. It's going to be a big one way or the other, but I think we're out of here. So thank you guys for watching all season. I really appreciate it. I'm giving my final send-off right now. I'm fingers crossed on the Bucks here. Thank you guys for watching this. It will be back, I promise you, for the NBA season next year. Keep your eyes peeled for that. Good luck tonight, everybody. I'll talk to you again maybe Thursday, maybe next year for another edition of the Contenders.